Okay, let's see.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're kicking off something special today, a new protocol we're calling Warp into War.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, we're taking a huge stack of articles, rulebooks, all this lore about Warhammer 40,000, and we're really focusing on the 10th edition context. And today, well, we have to start at the absolute top, the Emperor of Mankind.
Hmm.
You really can't discuss the setting without him. I mean, you can talk about Space Marines or Xenos, sure, but the Emperor is the sun that the entire grimdark galaxy orbits around.
That's the thing, though. If you're new to this or you just see the artwork, he just looks like, well, like furniture. He's this giant, scary skeleton on a gold chair.
Right.
So our mission today is to figure out who he really is and, why this whole universe seems to depend on whether this guy is technically alive or not. And we've got a massive stack of sources, right?
We do. We've pulled articles from the Warhammer 40K wiki, the fandom sites, the Lexicanum, and we're even digging back into the original Rogue Trader rulebook to see how the story's changed.
Okay, before we dive into all the super dark stuff, I want to set the stage. I like my American football analogies to make sense of things.
I do.
Most people would probably think the emperor is the quarterback, right? The leader on the field.
That's the common idea, yes, but it doesn't even begin to cover it.
Exactly. From what I'm reading, he isn't the quarterback.
Yeah.
He's the head coach. He's the franchise owner. And honestly, he is the stadium.
The stadium itself.
Yeah, he's the turf the game is played on. If he leaves, the ground literally just opens up and swallows the whole team.
That's actually a really good way of putting it, because without him, the stadium reality itself would probably just collapse under the pressure from the warp.
Okay, so let's break that down. Let's start with right now. If I warp into the 41st millennium today, who is the emperor?
Well, if you strip away all the propaganda, the picture it's frankly horrific. His enemies call him the Carrion Lord or the Corpse Emperor.
Carrion Lord.
Yeah.
Oof.
And visually, he's a rotting carcass. A shattered, decaying body that's been immobile on the golden throne of Terra for over 10,000 years.
Just rotting for 10 millennia.
He's a withered husk, but the key is he's neither fully dead nor fully alive. The golden throne isn't just a chair. It's this city-sized life support engine. It's ancient tech that keeps just enough of his cells working to anchor his soul here.
And he's not just sitting there. He's actively working.
Relentlessly. His mind is the sole power source for the Astronomicon.
A psychic lighthouse, right?
Exactly. Think of it as a psychic lighthouse in the middle of hell. The warp is this dimension of pure chaos, and without a fixed point, ships can't navigate. The Emperor's mind projects a psychic beam that cuts through that darkness, letting humanity travel between stars.
So if he blinks, the GPS for the entire galaxy just goes down.
It's worse than that. If he blinks, every ship in the warp is instantly lost to demons. Every planet becomes isolated. The Imperium wouldn't last for years. It would collapse in weeks.
But there's a cost. I was reading about this, and I had to read it like 3 times. This isn't a battery you just plug into the wall.
No. It requires biological fuel. The sources are very specific and very grim. To sustain his psychic strength, 1,000 psychers are sacrificed every single day.
Wait, pause there. 1,000 every day.
1,000 souls a day.
That's not a sacrifice. That's an industrial slaughterhouse.
It's genocide, but they see it as a necessity. These are humans born with psychic gifts. The blast ships hunt them down, bring them to Terra, and they're plugged into the machine. They're just drained of their life force until they're empty husks.
And then what?
Then they're incinerated to make room for the next batch.
That's just, wow. That sets the tone for the entire setting, doesn't it? The supposed good guys are literally feeding their children into a furnace to keep the lights on.
That's it exactly. The anathema, that's what Chaos calls him. He has to survive. And the Imperium has decided that the price for that is 1,000 souls a day. It's the most brutal utilitarian math you can imagine.
Okay, so he's this undead battery eating souls to run the galaxy. But what is he actually ruling? We say Imperium of Man, but looking at the stats, this isn't a nation like we'd understand it.
No, it's unfathomably vast. The propaganda line is 1,000,000 worlds, but some sources suggest it could be billions just spread so thinly across the galaxy.
1,000,000 worlds. How do you even manage that? The logistics are impossible.
They are. It's a logistical nightmare. The official structure is a theocratic, feudal autocracy.
Which means?
It's not a uniform country. It's a loose collection of planets. You might have one world that looks like modern Earth, and the next system over is a feral world where they're using spears, and next to that is a forge world that's just one giant factory.
And they all answer to Terra.
They all pay their tithes. That's the glue holding it all together. To go back to your football analogy, imagine your defense is spread across a whole continent. The linebacker is in Brazil. The safety is in New York. They can't see each other. The only thing connecting them is the coach's signal, the emperor's psychic beacon, and the tax collector showing up every few decades.
And if that signal cuts out,
Yeah.
the team just dissolves and the other guys run right through the gaps.
Exactly. Chaos wins.
Okay, so that's the grim reality now. But he wasn't always a skeleton on a throne. Let's rewind. Where did this guy even come from?
So this is where the lore gets really deep, and it connects to our own history in a surprising way. The Lexicanum points to a very specific place for his birth.
Yeah, I saw this. Central Anatolia, like modern-day Turkey.
Yes, right along the banks of the Sakarya River, and the time period is roughly 8,000 BC.
That's fascinating. Isn't that right around where we find sites like Göbekli Tepe, some of the earliest human settlements ever found?
It is. The lore basically suggests that the emperor, who was born as a boy named Neoth,
Neoth, so he had a name.
he had a name, and he came into being right as humanity started to build the first cities, the first real civilization. He's been with us since the first brick was laid.
And there's this story from his childhood that tells you everything about him. The thing with his uncle.
The first murder. The young Neoth has a psychic vision. He sees his uncle killing his father. Later, he finds his father dead, just like he saw.
A normal kid would, I don't know, scream or run.
Neoth didn't. He calmly walked up to his uncle. No shouting, no crying. He just used his psychic powers and stopped the man's heart.
Stopped his heart.
Instant cardiac arrest, no drama, just cold, efficient removal of a problem.
That's no chilling. That's not justice, that's sanitation.
It's pure pragmatism.
Right.
And the lore says that was the moment he realized humanity couldn't be left to its own devices. It needed order. And he decided he was the only one who could enforce it.
So he decides to be the shepherd. But wait, I was looking at the old Rogue Trader rulebook, and there's a totally different origin story in there, right? Something about shamans.
Yes. This is a huge point of divergence in the lore. The original story is often called the Shaman's Suicide Pact.
Suicide Pact. Okay, that sounds very different from one super kid in Turkey.
It is. In the old lore, back in prehistory, the human shamans, the first psychers, realized the warp was getting dangerous. When they died, their souls were being eaten by what would become demons. They weren't reincarnating anymore.
They were being hunted.
Precisely. So thousands of these shamans from all over the world gathered together. They decided to pool their power. They all took poison at the exact same moment.
Thousands of them, all at once.
They died as one. And their souls merged together in the warp and forced a reincarnation into a single new body, the new man, a being with the power of thousands, strong enough to protect the species.
That's such a cool idea.
This must be a story from the Lost in the Damned, actually, because in the Rogue Trader, it's like the Emperor is actually just a man who is the first psyker and have incredible powers. But they changed it later too in Lost in the Damned to have this shamanic sacrifice.
Yeah.
It makes him the literal collective will of humanity. So what happened to that story?
Well, the modern lore, especially in the Horus Heresy series, has sort of moved on. It focuses more on the idea of perpetuals.
The immortals.
Right. It presents the Emperor as just the most powerful, this natural subspecies of immortals who've always been around. And it adds a much darker twist with the Molech Gate.
What's that?
The current lore suggests he traveled to a planet called Molech, entered a warp gate, and actually made a deal with the Chaos Gods.
Whoa. So the old version is selfless sacrifice, and the new one is he made a deal with the devil.
In essence, yeah. He gained the knowledge to create the Primarchs, his super sons, by tricking the gods. He stole their fire and reneged on the deal.
Which would explain why they're so personally invested in tearing him down.
It's their ultimate grudge match.
Okay, so no matter how he started, he eventually goes public with his big plan. The Great Crusade. This was his peak.
This was the golden age. He comes out of the shadows, creates the Space Marines, and sets out to reunite all the lost human colonies. But his Super Bowl ring, the real endgame, wasn't just conquest. It was the Webway Project.
The Eldar tunnels.
Correct. The Emperor knew that using the warp for travel was humanity's great weakness. His ultimate plan was to move all of humanity's travel into the webway, this safe network between dimensions. If he could do that, he could cut the chaos gods off from humanity completely. Starve them.
A solid plan. A winning strategy. But the other team had a different idea. And that brings us to the bad guy.
Horus.
Horus Lupercal, the war mess.
Who was he to the emperor? Not just another general, right?
He was the favored son, the first found, the most beloved. If the emperor is the head coach, Horus was the star quarterback who knew the playbook better than anyone. They were inseparable for decades.
Which just makes the betrayal that much more brutal.
The Chaos Gods played on his pride. They showed him twisted visions of a future where the emperor was this distant god who'd abandoned his sons.
Which, is the great irony. That's exactly what happened because Horus turned.
The ultimate self-fulfilling prophecy. Horus falls, a civil war tears the galaxy apart, and it all ends in that final duel on Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. Let's zoom in on that. It's not just a fight, is it?
It's a battle of psychic gods. Horus is just bloated with chaos power. He drops his ship's shields to lure the emperor aboard, and the emperor goes. But the tragedy is, he hesitated. He looked at this monster, this avatar of absolute evil, and he still saw his son. He held back. He couldn't bring himself to use his full power against his favorite child.
And that's why he's on the throne today.
It cost him everything. Horus just beat him to within an inch of his life, shattered his body, tore off his arm. The turning point only came when a lone warrior stepped in.
Oh, this is the famous part. Who was it? The lore is a bit fuzzy here.
It varies. Sometimes it's a Terminator, sometimes a custodian guard. But the version that really hits home is that it was a Elanius person, just a normal human soldier standing up to a demigod, and Horus just obliterates him, wipes his soul from existence with a glance.
And that was the wake-up call.
In that moment of pure, petty cruelty, the emperor saw that his son was truly gone. So he finally unleashed everything he had been holding back, a psychic lance of pure soul fire. He didn't just kill Horus. He annihilated his very soul so that chaos could never bring him back.
He deleted the file.
Permanently. But the damage was done. He was mortally wounded. They put him on the throne, and he hasn't moved since.
Which brings us to maybe the biggest irony of the whole setting. His philosophy. He was a scientist, right? An atheist?
A militant atheist. He preached the imperial truth. He taught that gods were lies, that science and reason were the only path forward. He literally burned down cities for building churches to him.
And today?
Today, he is the god emperor of mankind, worshipped by trillions. The state church, the ecclesiarchy, runs everything, and they execute people for not worshiping him.
So the very thing he fought to destroy religion is the only thing holding his empire together now.
And it gets deeper. He banned sorcery. Yet he sits on a throne powered by souls, acting as the most powerful sorcerer in existence, holding back the warp. The Imperium has become a monument to everything he hated, all in his name.
That is just the definition of grimdark. Okay, so last question. The Eversor assassin story. He's on the throne, but is he awake? Does he still give orders?
That's the huge divine intervention debate. The story you're talking about says these Eversor assassins, who are kept in cryo-freeze, sometimes wake up with target coordinates burned into their minds, orders their handlers never gave them.
That's terrifying. A chemical berserker getting psychic orders from a corpse god.
It suggests he's still active, yeah. We also have things like the Emperor's Tarot, a divination tool that supposedly shows his will, and soul binding, where he protects certain psychers.
But is it really him?
That's the question. Is it the Emperor? Or is it just the High Lords of Terra interpreting psychic static as a signal to maintain their own power? Or is it a trick from something else in the warp?
Or that Star Child theory from the old books,
Right.
that his soul is kind of splitting apart.
The Star Child theory, yeah. It suggests that the compassionate part of his soul, the part he had to cast off to kill Horus, is maybe gathering in the warp, waiting to be reborn as a new entity. It implies that for the Emperor to truly save humanity, the thing on the throne might have to die first.
Man. Okay, that is a massive amount to cover. From the mud of Anatolia in 8000 BC all the way to the Golden Throne, we've seen him as a killer, a savior, a failed father, and now a rotting god.
It's a heavy download for sure, but it really explains why the whole setting feels the way it does. The rot starts right at the very top.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one last thought we should leave everyone with?
I think it has to be that final irony. The Emperor's whole plan was to free humanity from the warp. But now he is the only thing standing between humanity and the warp, and he's fueled by the very superstition and sacrifice he tried to eradicate.
He became the dam holding back the flood, but the dam is built out of the things he hated most.
Exactly. And here's the real kicker to think about. If he ever actually woke up, if he healed and stepped off that throne, would he look at the Imperium of the 41st millennium and try to save it? Or would he be so horrified by the religious, tyrannical nightmare it's become that he'd destroy it himself for failing him so completely?
The Emperor protects, but at what cost?
Ah, that is a scary thought. If he ever comes back, we might be first on his list.
We might indeed.
Thanks for joining us on this first episode of Warp into War. We've got so much more lore to get into. We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Great.